Hello everybody, it's Tanya here. I'm running a little bit late. I think every week starts like that. I've been trying to do the printing for the thing because I didn't do it and my computer's not playing. Plus, have a look at this. I've got visitors. Ready? Flipping the camera. Who's here? Oh, look, there's Dawn. And Glenda's just left. She was sitting there. And then we've got visitors from Fiji. Kerry and Cece are here. Oh, look, Kerry's watching and she's not even logged in. She doesn't need to be. She's right here. Because Fiji blocks her at the moment. She can't watch the videos. So, she might have been doing a little bit of catch up. But anyway, here you go. Look, Dawn's having coffee. I've got my computer here to remind me what I've got to talk to you about. This week I'm going to be covering embossing techniques. So I'm just going to put the camera on the little tripod thingy. And here we go. I think I might have to move my table a little bit. Here you go. That's so you can see. All right. Let's go. What am I going to do first? I'm going to do some dry embossing first because you've got two types of embossing. So I've got my trusty little bits of card here. All right. And I've got the old Cutterbug. Can you see my Cutterbug okay there? Yeah. All right. So when you're doing embossing, dry embossing, you got to have the right sandwich. You've got to have the right sandwich. So this is, the girls will tell me if I'm wrong. That's the A plate. And then I've got two B plates, so they're not as thick. If you were doing thin cutting, you would be using another item. So maybe a magnetic mat, because you need that extra thickness. But we don't need that today for dry embossing. So dry embossing is using these folders. And basically, I'm just going to do some little samples. You stick your cardstock in, you make a sandwich, you put it between your two B-size B plates, and with a bit of groaning and moaning and shaking, we're going to roll that through. Right. So this one was the subway tile, which was in last catalogue. And I love brick type things. So that's that. Those two there. Now, remember last week I taught you distressing techniques? Well, you can emboss and you can distress. So you might be wondering why I did two. Well, this is why. You can, on the raised edge, use your nail file, piece of sandpaper to rub the white core away, or the colour away, to reveal your white core. So then you've got a two-dimensional look, or three-dimensional look. Okay, so that's that one. You can also, so this is technique 1, 2, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to run another one through. I'm going to run a piece of white through. And so I make my sandwich again. Put my white on. Actually, girls, has somebody got an ink pad close by? Oh, I've got slaves today. I don't have to roll away. Yep, no, that's great. Thank you. Thanks, Kerry. You can come again.
I will.
All right, so next, last week I also said about distressing. You can also use the ink pad technique to, I might need to roll this away. You can do an ink pad or sponge to apply some colour to the raised bits. So you can do a swipey and you get a little bit of a dirtier effect. Okay, you can see that? That's pretty cool. So you've got 3 there. There's another one with the embossing. It's a reverse, I think it's called reverse embossing. So we'll do our sandwich again. And this is where you can actually apply the ink to your embossing folder. So this could be a bit messy, but you rub it. You rub it on, you stick your cardstock on. So I'm only going to be doing one side. Make my sandwich. Stick it in. We're teaching Cece lots of things tonight. Okay, and then you can actually, you've put the ink into the card. It's actually pushed the white up and then you've got the brown down the bottom. You can see that? Oh. So that's 3 quick little things. I'm going to have to clean that up in a bit to show you around that. Let's have a look. See what else is on my list. That's it for the using the embossing folders. So that's 4 little techniques I've shown you tonight, just with your embossing folders that you get multiple effects from. Okay, cool. I might have forgotten a couple of these, so you'll just have to add them into the blank spaces. So this one was inking once you've embossed something, just swiping the ink over it. That one's just straight embossing. That one's sanded embossing, and that's inking the embossing folder. All right, okay. Moving on, we're gonna play with some heat. Oh God. All right, so we're gonna play with some heat now. So normally, it's okay. Normally I've got my heat mat, but I wasn't organised and I didn't get it out. So we'll just pretend I've got my heat mat. Who's watching? I might pop up and see who's watching. Hi, Cecily. Kerry's still there as well. There's somebody else I can't see that's watching. Yeah. Make sure you say hello. Tell us if you like it. All right. So we stock a couple of different embossing powders or different types. We stock the range. So we've got tinsel embossing powder. We've got clear. Clear's a really good one to have. It's a great go-to. And then we've got just our regular gold embossing powder. There's silver as well. You can get away with just having clear. And I'm going to show you that technique first, okay? So we stock a number of pigment-based ink pads. So this one here is actually our regular water-based ink pads. You'll see me using these every week unless I'm doing colouring, and then I'll use a solvent-based. But the water-based dye inks dry too fast for heat embossing. So then we can use these ones, which are our pigment-based ink pads, and they are creamy. When you touch them, you can feel the solvent and the oil in them, okay? So this is the old style ink pad and this is the new style. Heaps easier to open than this one, but that's all right, still works. So first I'm going to show you some white heat embossing on a piece of card, and you know what I didn't do? I didn't get a stamp. So just hold up. Hold up, wait a minute. Kangaroos on the block. Yeah. I should have used something current, but that's okay. All right, just for Cece, we're going to use a koala. Okay? All right, so what you have to do with heat embossing, when you're heat embossing with pigment ink, and there's this great little tool, if you're going to be using it straight on your page. It's called a embossing buddy. And it's basically, it could be just a little powder with some talc in it, but we sell these. They're a little stretchy case. I think ours has got blue stitching. To prep before heat embossing, you dab the powder onto your surface. All right, then I'm going to get this. I'm not sure if it's going to work well because there's a lot of detail in this stamp, so we'll see. We're going to, remember, tap multiple times. And we're going to get this ink right in there. It's thick, okay? So it takes a bit to clean it up as well. So this is white. And I'm just going to stamp it, hold it on. Hopefully it's come out okay. Not great. It's very thick. So then straight with the clear embossing powder over the top. And so we're going to get white, like you could use white powder over the top. And then with my heat embossing tool, I don't know if you can see that, it's going to change colour. when the heat embossing material catches. Probably wasn't a great stamp to use. I'll find something else. But you can sort of see. I'm going to get better coverage with something else. Just hold up. I need a different stamp. Ho hum, ho hum, ho hum. Alphabet. It'll be good.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
All the two.
Yeah. I do have a couple of different colours. Thanks for waiting. Okay. So I've just found a alphabet. So I think that's going to work better. Alright. So the girls are whispering. We used to have these little stamp pigment pads as well. So I've had mine forever. Hopefully they haven't dried out. Oh, look at that. No. So I'm going to get good coverage on that. It's a lot bit easier to see not using white. And I'm going to do it on white. No. And I'm going to clean up. Oh, I've got blue on my finger. Now, pigment ink doesn't dry as quick. You can see it's like shiny. Right, so this is what I was saying. You don't need to have multiple colours. You can get away with pigment ink pads and clear embossing powder, and you can, it's just unlimited to the amount of colours in inks you have. You see, can you see it change? As it dries. So there you go. That is, when you've got the right stamp, it works really well. All right, so that is pigment ink with clear powder. Next, I'm going to show you a different colour. No clear powder. Well, okay, I will show you clear powder on tone on tone. It's great just to get some interest, some texture. I'll grab one of these. I'll grab a different letter because I'm going to have to really clean that one. Wait. Sit that there. All right, next. All right, so I've got my assistants here helping. All right, so next I'm going to use clear embossing powder with our Versamark. So our Versamark is a watermark stamp, and it's a great medium for sticking embossing powder too. But you can also use this straight as well to give yourself a watermark tone on tone effect. It does take a little while to dry because it sort of leaves a sticky residue. So if I wanted to do, say, on this pink paper, I'll show you. It sits flat, so once you put the white powder on top, though, it gives it a raised effect. But I could just put these all over. Yes. And it's a very, can you see that? It's a very faint shadow there of a shine. It just gives you a shadow. You could create your own background paper with this, you know, and you just get like a nice little, it'd probably show up better on a darker piece of cardstock. You could just, you know, it'd be nice if you to do it with your child's first letter of their name, make their own paper. Right, can you see that better on that? Okay. So next, what we could do is then grab, and you can see I've got this little tray that catches everything. That's so I can recycle this. So this stuff pours straight back in and you can reuse it. So I'm not scared about how much I'm going to use it. I'm wasting it. It's quite okay. It's only going to stick. Oh, and you know what happened? I didn't powder that. Can you see that I've got stuff everywhere there? I've got powder everywhere. So basically where that powder sits, it's going to... that's going to go glossy as well. So what you can do is grab a paintbrush. If you don't have the powder pal, or you forget like I just did, you can grab your paintbrush and just dust off. Give it a tap. There's nothing worse than putting all this time and effort in and then you get rogue bits of embossing powder. That's cute. Spots. Okay. Not the rogues. All right. It's also good to have a pair of tweezers on hand because this gets hot. Okay, so that's the clear powder. And where's that? And see, you get a bit of a different effect. So it just really highlights it if you put the clear powder on versus just straight Versamark. All right, so I'm going to put the clear powder away. It does have a little funnel, but it's a pain in the backside. I'm not very quick to get it out at the moment. So just putting all my goodies back. Dust it all out with my paintbrush. All right. So next, because it's the least messy, I'm going to do just straight heat embossing. And let's use a bit of black. Wait, thanks, Cece. All right, so straight heat embossing. What I'm going to use here, I'm just going to use my Versamark again. I'm going to use the same letter we just had loaded up. And I'm going to stamp. All right, I did two. So here's my tray. I'm going to grab my gold embossing powder. These will be awesome for Christmas cards. Everybody's getting into Christmas cards at the moment. Get prepared early. Guess what I didn't do again? Powder. I'll do it for the next one, I promise. It's right here. See you, Dawn.
See you, Tanya.
Safe travel home. All right. Now I'm going to heat emboss this. There you go. Look at that one. I'll put it the right way. Cece's very impressed. So that's just...
Yes.
Yeah.
You can ask Tanya that question. The viewers might have a
question. What have you got a question for me? What is it?
It's a silly question.
No, it's not a silly question. No such thing.
So the powder sticks on the ink?
Yes, because it's still wet. So the ink, it's sort of a really, if you feel it, it's a really wet, sticky ink. Yeah. So it takes a while to dry. It does pay to work fast, because that's why we can't use this, because this stuff dries really quickly. Right. So if I was to do one, and I'll do one, I'll show you. Ta-da, Dawny.
No, I'm not doing it. Oh. I've got any pencils.
Pencils. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
The colour
All
pencils.
right. I'm just going to get a bit of the espresso, and I'm going to stick that on. So I've just stamped the espresso on.
Powder.
Yeah. Now I'm going to put the... Oh, I didn't powder, but if I put the heat powder on there, it proved me wrong and stuck a little bit, but it doesn't. It's possibly because I didn't clean this one off.
Ah, yes, from the other
so
side,
it's still got a bit of the residue. So hang on, I'll get a new stamp.
Thanks for my dinner.
Leave your money on the fridge.
Okay.
Well, yeah, let's channel a little bit Ted Bundy. Okay. All right, so now we're trying it again because I like to show you these things when they work and don't work. So that is the espresso again on a clean stamp. And now I'm going to add the powder. Sometimes you might be lucky. It might be wet long enough. You mightn't get the coverage. Well, look at that.
Oh.
It worked if you're quick.
Okay.
So you could get away with using any ink. But if you have a look, it's a bit different of a texture. So you can see this one's really shiny and really well stuck. These ones here are a little bit lumpy, bumpy, possibly because it's not as wet, it's not as crisp. All right. So next, lastly, hopefully this is a quick one tonight. Lastly, I'm just going to clean this out and then I'm going to show you our tinsel. Now, I've had varying successes with the tinsel. I've got a little bit of OCD, so I like everything nice and balanced and even, and I don't believe the tinsel is meant to be balanced and even. It's like got sparkly bits in it, and yeah. So I am definitely going to powder. Powder, powder, powder. Yay, I remembered. All right. I need another thing because that one had brown on it. All right, so we're going to use our Versamark again. So I've powdered. I'm going to do a double stamp. So multi. I had some girls at retreat were having a bit of trouble with the stamping, and I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember the other day I said about the swiping. Let's do that too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a swipe, and see if that returns a different result. All right. So now, oh, a sparkle.
Shiny.
Yeah, Kerry's excited. We've got a bronze glitter as well. There's a gold glitter, and I'm pretty sure there's a silver glitter. Could you imagine Christmas ornaments done with this? Like stamped Christmas ornaments? Wouldn't they be beautiful?
That's beautiful.
But the glitter gets everywhere, seriously. All right. Well, they all return fairly similar results. But listen to it. It sounds like sandpaper. Okay. So there you go. I think that's all I was going to cover in relation to embossing. If you've got any questions, just give me a shout. I'll just pull the camera down and have a look. You should see my mess. It's a big mess. I hope you got to see that. Hi, Anne. Hi, Judy. Hi, Penny. There you go. And here's the girls. So, bye from Fiji. Bye. Thanks for joining me. See ya.